Perhaps the most innovative script I had ever seen is what Aaron Ryder, an executive for Newmarket Films, said after reading the script of Memento. It was the film structure of Memento that garnered this statement. The story is about a man named Leonard who develops anterograde amnesia after the murder of his wife. This type of amnesia causes someone to lose the ability to form new memories. Despite his lack of collecting new information, Leonard is set on finding his wife's killer. In order to collect new information, he takes photos, writes down notes, and even tattoos information onto his body. While the story on its own is definitely interesting, it's the way that Nolan decided to tell the story that makes Memento truly stand out. Memento has two timelines, a black and white sequence and a color sequence that alternate and converge at the end of the film. Now, this concept of having multiple timelines that converge at the end isn't something new in cinema. Just think of Lord of the Rings with all of the different timelines and characters converging at the end of the story. Well, most of them. Anyway, Nolan decided that one of these timelines, the color sequence, is to be told backwards in reverse chronological order, so that the beginning of the film is the end of the story and the end of the film is the middle of the story. While telling a story in reverse chronological order also wasn't something new in cinema at the time, such as in The Sweet Hereafter, where the film starts in 1977 and ends in 1968, it was the combination of alternative timelines, with one being in reverse chronological order, that was innovative. This innovative film structure wasn't done to simply make the film complex or hard to understand. There was a purpose behind it. By having the color sequence be told in reverse chronological order, with Leonard himself narrating, this creates the effect that we, the audience, are denied the same information that Leonard is denied.
Oh, I'm chasing this guy. No, he's chasing me.
Leonard doesn't know what just happened, and neither do we. He is an unreliable narrator. The audience is faced with the question of how much of Leonard's memory of the past is real and how much is constructed from beliefs and wishes. This creates sympathy for the character, while also causing us to not believe everything that Leonard is saying.
How can I heal? How am I supposed to heal if I can't feel time?
In these scenes, blue is everywhere. Leonard's shirt is blue, the walls and doors of the motel, and even the color grading itself is blue. Blue is often associated with cool, sadness, and truth. The timeline that is in chronological order is in black and white. This lack of color is a way to visually distinguish the two timelines from one another. In the script, the color sequences are labeled and the black and white sequences are labeled while also being entirely in bold font. This way, the different timelines are easily identifiable whether someone is watching the film or reading the screenplay. The black and white timeline tells the story of Sammy Jenkins, a man with anterograde amnesia who doesn't receive an insurance claim from the company that Leonard works for. It is through these sequences the audience learns more about what anterograde amnesia is like from an objective point of view. While the plot and the timelines are interesting enough, Nolan also adds in a plot twist. The majority of the black and white scenes are used to explain the story of Sammy Jenkins as he deals with the same affliction as Leonard. Sammy's condition of being unable to form new memories infuriated his wife, who believed her husband was faking his condition. Living with diabetes, she relied on Sammy to administer her insulin shots every day. On the advice of Leonard, who thought Sammy could be conditioned to remember, he tells her to continuously ask Sammy to give her the shot, to which Sammy abides. Horrified by this, Sammy's wife still asks him for the shot, believing that he will eventually remember, but he never does, and she falls into a fatal coma. It's the guilt Sammy must feel, but will never remember, that haunts Leonard and prompts him to mention the story to almost everyone he meets. However, it is revealed that this story is made up by Leonard. In fact, Leonard's wife was assaulted but survived the ordeal, but Leonard still suffered amnesia as a result from the attack. It was actually Leonard's wife who was a diabetic, and it was Leonard who put his wife into a coma because he couldn't remember that he already gave her a shot. It was this combination of an interesting premise, a plot twist, and alternating timelines, with one of them being told in reverse chronological order that prompted an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Screenplay. Despite the Oscar nomination, the box office success of grossing $40 million on a $9 million budget, and the high regard the film still has today. There were struggles along the way for Memento to be distributed. It was back in the summer of 1996 when Christopher and Jonathan Nolan took a road trip from Chicago to Los Angeles. Jonathan told an idea he had for a story: a man with anterograde amnesia who uses notes and tattoos to hunt for his wife's murderer. Christopher liked the idea and wanted to see Jonathan complete the idea into a full story. By this point, Christopher had one independent film under his belt, Following. After a couple of months, Jonathan sent his brother the first draft of his proposed idea. Christopher would work on the story as a screenplay, while Jonathan worked on it as a short story. The two would collaborate with each to bounce ideas off one another. It wasn't for 2 months after he started working on the script that Christopher decided to tell the story backwards.
And my solution to telling the story subjectively was to deny the audience the same information that the protagonist is denied. And my approach to doing that was to effectively tell the story backwards. That way, when we meet a character, we don't know, just like the protagonist, how he's met that person, whether he's even met that person before, or whether or not they should be trusted, that kind of thing.
Once he was done with the script, Christopher's girlfriend and future wife showed the screenplay to Aaron Ryder. Soon after the film was optioned and given a budget of $9 million, the film gained substantial word-of-mouth press from the film festival circuit. It premiered at the 2000 Venice Film Festival, where it received a standing ovation. While the film did not have an issue with foreign distributors, finding American distributors proved troublesome. Memento was screened for various studio heads in March of 2000. Although most executives loved the film and praised Nolan's talent, all passed on distributing the film, believing it was too confusing and would not attract a large audience, including Miramax chief Harvey Weinstein. After film director Steven Soderbergh saw the film and learned it was not being distributed, he championed the film in interviews and public events. However, in a financially risky move, Newmarket decided to distribute the film itself. After the first few weeks of distribution, Memento had reached more than 500 theaters and earned a domestic total of $25 million in its initial box office run. The film's success was surprising to those who passed on the film, so much so that Weinstein realized his mistake and tried to buy the film from Newmarket. Even though there were troubles getting the film distributed, Memento is the film that launched Christopher Nolan's career, and now he is regarded as one of the best working writer-directors today.
We all need mirrors to remind ourselves who we are. I'm no different. Now, where was I?